Welcome to the podcast from HeadHunters Northwest. HeadHunters Northwest. Specialized recruiting, specialized approach, where we take you behind the scenes into our customers' businesses. For over 20 years, HeadHunters Northwest has served the global defense, small arms, and shooting sectors worldwide. Listen in as we discuss the inner workings of our USA and international customers. HeadHunters Northwest, finding you the best heads for business.
Okay. Hey, welcome everybody. I'm so happy to have you back, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, whatever. This is Shailene. I'm with HeadHunters Northwest. And today we have a really special guest, Nathan Dudney. Nathan is the founder and CEO of DFM Arms, and he's also the president of ZeroTech Optics. And I've been wanting to do something like this with Nathan for a long time. If you've never met Nathan Dudney in person, you need to, because he is singly one of the most interesting people in our industry. And I was thinking about it before we got on here, Nathan, and I wanted to ask you, when did you fall in love with manufacturing? Because to me, I think of you and I'm like, you fell in love with manufacturing somewhere along the way.
You know, it's really interesting. After college, I got involved in the ammunition industry and particularly manufacturing projectiles. And my wife likes laughing now because I'm such a manufacturing nerd. And I always tell people it doesn't matter if you manufacture guns and ammo or toilet seats. It's fascinating to me. But in college, how it's made was a pretty big show on television. And I absolutely hated it because it was dry and boring, and had no interest in it. I just wanted to play with the product, not actually see how it was made. And now that couldn't be further from the truth. You know, I'm interested in how you make something. And I've been very privileged and blessed to be able to see all sorts of factories all over the world: injection molding, stamping, casting, machining, gunpowder plants, primer factories. And you really are able to, if you look at it through the right prism, regardless if you're in manufacturing, maybe you're in sales and marketing, maybe you're in HR, it doesn't matter. There's something that you can take away from every factory visit. And I also think you could take away something bad and say, hey, I don't want to do that. I don't want to implement it. So it was really in the ammunition manufacturing, particularly projectiles, where I started to actually learn, wow, this is made from a roll of steel or a roll of copper or lead hunks or whatever it might be. And we can actually create something from essentially nothing that we get to use on a regular basis within our industry. The people in the industry really made me fall in love with it too, knowing that there are experts in all sorts of different fields. But it's kind of my mentality is one rising tide lifts all boats for the firearms, defense, and outdoor industry. And I think that the majority of people we get to interact with feel the same way. And so usually people welcome you with open arms to tour my plant, look at what we do, hear something new that we've implemented, and are usually really collaborative when you say, hey, that's a great idea. Do you mind if I implement that at my facility? And it's a blessing to be involved with people that share the same mindset. And I get to see some really cool stuff along the way. But it was really after college and started working in the industry, I fell in love with manufacturing.
Well, you have come a very long way. I'd have to think back. I didn't look in my notes in my database, my little cheat sheet for my memory as to when we met, but I'm going to speculate it was probably 10 years ago at least. And you were doing business development and you had oversold, everything. There was not even anything else for you to sell because manufacturing was trying to keep up. And what I loved about my first meetings with you were how creative you are with problem solving, because you never look at it and say there's only one way. And I've seen this, over the years as we have talked and discussed different problems and different solutions you've come up with. And you're not a one-dimensional man. You have many investments and many things you're doing all at once. And I think it's incredible the relationships you have been able to build consistently, and long-term relationships. These are not flash in the pan, and those have lent to your success. But I do think you're very much a driver. I've never seen you say, oh, this is someone else's problem, or I'll wait until somebody else does that. You're already way ahead of them. You're very scalable. Doesn't matter what it is.
Oh, I appreciate those kind words. A lot of it was just a big blessing and being in the right place at the right time. Some people would call it luck. Industry has ebb and flow. And I always say in manufacturing in particular, there's always problems. It's either a
Yeah.
good problem or a bad problem. A good problem being, hey, we've outsold production and we've got to figure out either how to ramp it up or maximize our profits or decrease our operating costs so that we can really add to the bottom line when things are sold out. And there's definitely way more bad problems in manufacturing, right? I've got people that are out sick this week. I've got, problems with machines breaking down, problems with raw material sourcing and delivery. There's always a problem, whether it's good or bad. And I think that's a really interesting way to look at it for people that are new to the manufacturing world, because nothing is ever going right. And it's either a good right or it's a bad right, but nothing's ever right. And that's just part of it. There's always a fire that you've got to put out, and some are more difficult than others. But ultimately, if you like that challenge of solving problems, coming up with creative ways to find solutions, manufacturing is something that, it really makes the world go round. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people overlook the importance and the career path of manufacturing all the way down to the operator level, right? I'm a
Yes.
huge fan of all these, not just in the firearms industry, but American manufacturing plants. Automotive is probably a key example of that. These are incredible jobs and careers with long-term companies that have really good benefits. And it's just an interesting career path that I think, particularly today, young people overlook, not just the importance, but the opportunity that's in front of them from a career path perspective on manufacturing. And I've been seeing a little bit of a shift in that, particularly with young people being interested in like plumbing or doing electric work, these trade jobs. I don't think we've quite shifted there for manufacturing, but I love saying about tool makers. Tool makers are probably, if they're not today, in a very short amount of time, they will be the most valuable people within the workforce, because they're older guys. They're in retirement age. They're hanging on for a few extra years because there's a need for them.
Yeah.
And younger people just aren't as interested in doing it now. And so I think for anybody that gets to hear this, that's interested in getting into manufacturing and thinks, oh, I want to do sales or marketing for a manufacturing company, don't discount the more technical skills within that company, particular to whether it's engineering, tool making, processing techs. Those are great opportunities and great jobs. And while they're competitive, there's not as many people vying for that career path. And so
Good
you can
point.
really shining star there.
Yes, I think you're right on. I think you should be Mike Rowe's, assistant here. Your message is like consistent with Mike Rowe, and we just need more people to talk about it, because you're so right, Nathan. These manufacturing jobs these are careers. There's a huge opportunity in any of those roles, and operations is another one. And supply chain and logistics, all of these things are unmatched to other roles, and you hit the ground running and you can be trained on the job. And these are very real careers, not just jobs.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Let's talk about your companies. I want to hear all about DFM Arms, because honestly, even though we're good friends, we haven't even had 1 minute to talk about your company and what you're doing. And I want to hear about ZeroTech Optics too, because I'm seeing ZeroTech Optics all over social media. And I just missed Adam at, Soft Week. And I know you guys are really, you're moving and grooving, and people need to know about those things. So tell us about your companies and what you're doing.
Yeah, so DFM Arms, we're a design to manufacturing solution for OEM customers in the firearms industry. And we do injection molding, metal stamping, over molding and insert molding, sonic welding, and then a lot of assembly. The majority of what we do, over 60% of our business, is on the magazine side. And then on all of our projects, close to 90% of our projects, we're involved in the engineering, the design, and development for the customer themselves. And as a manufacturing guy, and part of the reason I fell in love with manufacturing, everybody thinks, Ford Motor Company will use as an example, and they think, oh, they manufacture everything. And it couldn't be farther from the truth.
Yeah.
They use tier one and tier two sub manufacturers to make all their parts, and they do the assembly. And, we're so blessed to be in an industry that's been booming over the past 10 years. And the firearms companies are the exact same way. A lot of the smaller companies, they are making all their parts, but the big companies that have scaled, they're focused on primarily building things that revolve around machining centers. So barrels, slides, frames, but all of the stamped, most of, I should say, the stamped and injection molded parts, MIM components as well, they're outsourcing that. And
Yes.
the OEM manufacturing world is kind of the unsung hero. It's kind of the secret that nobody knows about. What I like to tell people is we could walk into a gun shop and we could just pull guns off the shelf, and I could say, okay, we make the magazine for this, we make the grip for this, we make the trigger bar here. And it's a cool thing that a lot of consumers never think about, but it's a very large industry. We got started with DFM 3 years ago. We saw an opportunity in the market, felt that we could really differentiate ourselves on a couple key factors. One primarily being that we do injection molding and stamping in the same facility. So a lot of the metal parts that you might have overmolded into plastic, most of those molders are outsourcing the stamping, and then they're relying on another manufacturer to make those parts to print. There could be an issue with them and finger pointing can happen. We control all of that in our facility. And so it gives us a really good opportunity from a continuity perspective and a quality perspective. The second thing that really makes us unique is our engineering prowess and the fact that we do most of the design and development on the parts. And so it could be as simple, if it's an accessory manufacturer, somebody coming and saying, hey, we've got all these different magazines that our company sells now, but we really want to make this new magazine and we want you guys to do the engineering for it. And so we do that. It could be a customer saying, we designed a new pistol. We don't want to do the magazine because mags are difficult and there's a lot of voodoo in there. Here's the CAD models and the prototypes of the pistols. You guys design that. Or it could be somewhere in between. And then really the third differentiator for us is, unlike a lot of OEM manufacturers, whether it's machining, MIM, injection molding, or stamping, we only work in the firearms, defense, and outdoor industry. So while that's challenging at times, particularly when the industry is kind of in a valley and not at a peak, it is very dedicated and focused from our perspective that's all we do. We understand the intent of the part. We know how to interact with all the other mating components, and we can solve a lot of problems for customers that otherwise might not be able to solve that through a traditional OEM molder or stamper. And so the company's been around for coming up on 3 years now, next month. And we've been very blessed to add a lot of new customers, a lot of new projects. And we kind of categorize them in tier one and tier two. That has nothing to do with the importance of the customer. Tier one is a part we make for an OEM firearms manufacturer that gets installed into the firearm or shipped with the firearm. And then tier two is really an accessory manufacturer that would be, something you're buying off a peg at a Bass Pro Cabela's or a gun shop rather than with the firearm itself. And probably one of the new areas that we've really been growing in is the sporting dog world. And that's been really exciting for us because there's not as much ebb and flow to that side of the outdoor industry as the firearm side of things. And so it's helped really create a better baseline for us for when we do have those peaks and valleys in the gun business. And it's been exciting for us. And we really love supporting our customers, and we're users of all these products too.
Well, and I'd like to add too, even though your company is 3 years old, you and I met all these years ago, and I wish now I would have looked. But you're the one who taught me about magazines and how hard they are to make and how complicated they can be. And when we met, you and several other of your folks in your network that are, I believe, still involved with your business now, you all worked at a manufacturer that had similar things, and you guys were very experienced in this line of work. So this is something that experience that you personally bring already. And your sporting dog line, this is your life every day. I mean, you are a bird dog hunter. Your dog is there with you, and I know he's your service dog. And I don't even want to go down that road because I'll get off on how you are the one who introduced me on how I could get my service dog to be able to travel on a plane and everything else. So you're just an amazing talent. But I don't want people to think you're brand new to this because you have years and years and years of experience in this industry. So what they're really getting is a tremendous long line of true tried and tested products. This isn't something you guys are experimenting and they've never done before.
No, you're exactly right. And our entire team has been working in the industry for over 10 years. And really, I can't take the credit from an engineering, design, and development standpoint. I know enough to be dangerous and help facilitate that. But ultimately, I'm very blessed to have worked with the same co-founders that I have now at DFM for over 10 years. They've got a tremendous amount of experience, and I would put our team up against anybody from a design and development perspective. One of our lead firearms engineer in particular, I always tell everybody he's top 5 magazine engineers in the entire world. And it shrinks a lot, right? When you look at who can design a particular part and manufacture that part, if it's not super specialized, there's a pretty big funnel of people that can make that. But when you get down to something as specialized as a magazine, it's difficult to do. It's much easier to design a gun around a magazine than a magazine around a gun. And it's something that we do every day and troubleshoot that. And our engineering team is incredible, and they do a very good job of it. There's a lot of what not to do. There's some of what you need to do, but there's a lot of what not to do, and it easily gets overlooked.
Well, you are right to say that the OEMs are the unsung heroes because I don't know of a single firearm manufacturer that makes every single part. They're just that it isn't possible. And if I'm wrong, somebody call me out. I'm sure somebody will send me an email, and that's great. I'm okay to be wrong. But I think you're right about the unsung hero. Now, before we go too far, I want to hear about ZeroTech Optics.
Yes, so ZeroTech was founded by Chris Watkins, a guy out of Australia that owns and operates a 3rd generation two-step distributor there, major distributor. And his grandfather was a U.S. citizen that fought in World War II and moved to Australia after the war, got involved in importing and distributing sporting optics, saw an opportunity. So a number of years ago, the path was create our own optics line. And my partner asked me to be involved and really stand up the U.S. facility for that. And so it was, again, a huge blessing. And I don't want to say happenstance. It was the right things happen at the right time, but a big blessing to get involved with the right people. And what really interested me about it, not only that it was a great opportunity, but it was all about the people. And the story that I tell when people ask me of how I got involved is I tell them when this idea was brought to me, because I like the people so much, I told them, I said, look, I use optics as a hunter and as somebody involved in the firearms industry. I don't know a lot about optics, but I said, I want to do it because it's you guys. If you want to open a coffee shop, I don't know anything about coffee either, but I'll do it. Right. I feel more often than not, we overlook the importance of getting into business with the right people and really finding a scenario where 1 + 1 can equal more than 2. And this absolutely was it. So we brought ZeroTech USA. We launched internationally first at Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Europe, a little bit in South America, and then brought ZeroTech to the US about 4 years ago. Really decided we were going to be strategic with a crawl, walk, run scenario. Didn't want to bring on too many dealers right out of the gate. Didn't want to add distribution. And it has just really grown for us, particularly in the past year and a half. We came into the market in about the worst timing in the past 10 years to launch a new brand. And it has just really flourished for us. We've been very blessed to partner with the right people from a sales perspective, our distributors. And our team is really thinking about things differently than a lot of other companies. We're embracing a lot of technology from a marketing perspective. We've got a full staff. We do all of our design and development on the products in-house. We work with OEM manufacturers globally to actually make the products for us, and really kind of think outside of the box compared to a lot of our competitors. And it differentiates us. And a lot of the traction, everything that you're seeing is a byproduct of kind of that mentality. What I like to tell people with ZeroTech is we're a new brand. We're not a new company. And what I mean by that is we've got different businesses within the firearms industry. It's not a garage operation that we just came up with this idea and we're going to start from scratch. We've been able to duplicate all the success that we've had from our other businesses, those same models, those same methodologies, and apply that to ZeroTech to really know how to service the distributor, the dealer, and ultimately the consumer, and make sure that they're happy and they feel that they're getting a good value proposition. So we've got a full line of products from magnified rifle scopes to prisms and red dots and binoculars. And really for us, it comes down to value proposition, good customer service, and unique features that add a lot of utility to the product itself. And so it's been growing like wildfire, and it's been really exciting to be part of that. And most importantly, to be able to do it with people that you trust, and the kind of iron sharpens iron, and we can move forward create a new path that we might not have created on our own.
Yeah, because you guys are all over the place. Even though you have a team there where you are locally, you have a lot of reach globally. You're not just in one, your contacts reach all over. So you're not limited. I mean, it's not like you're saying, hey, we're this company here at this point in the US and then we're going to branch out. Your particular world is very large.
Yeah, we're very blessed we also have a headquarters with ZeroTech in Australia. And again, that's where the company was originally founded. And because of that, we do have a lot of reach and really good partners in different countries that do distribution for us. And it's really just that rapport that we've built with those partners around the world, create those long-term relationships. You and I have known each other for over 10 years now. And I think, relationships are more important than anything else. Business comes and goes. And that's what I always tell everybody. What's here today, you hope it's here tomorrow, but it absolutely could not be. But what doesn't change is people. That's all we really have at the end of the day. If you treat people right and build good relationships, and you're there when people need you, you're going to be successful. And so I think that's really what we've been able to do with ZeroTech and with DFM.
Now, where can people purchase ZeroTech optics? Where can they see that? We're going to post the link for both your company websites in the social media posts, and then on our webpage when the podcast is released, it'll be there. But for people who are listening right now and maybe, on the road, what are your websites and how can people buy ZeroTech optics, and how can they reach DFM Arms for business that you're good partners with?
Yes, on ZeroTech, I mean, we're available on most e-commerce platforms that sell stuff in the firearms industry. You can go direct to our website, zerotechoptics.com. Most of your local dealers are going to have them now. There's still some certain states, particularly in your area, that we don't have as good a representation at the dealer level, just because, I mean, you're blessed to kind of live in the middle of nowhere, which is amazing.
We kind of are.
Well, I mean, that's still great. But so there are some places that definitely don't have it yet. But that's the best place, is just to go to our website. We've got a dealer locator on there. You can look, and you can always reach out to us directly or through our e-commerce partners. On DFM, it's dfmarms.com. Our website is vague on purpose. Typically, we wait for people to ask us for more information, and then we're sending them a brochure that goes into a lot of detail about what we do. There's a pretty good overview there, but we really want to connect with people with that business. And so we kind of leave it up to them to reach out to us to ask for more information, so that we can make a connection and actually talk to somebody, find out what their pain points are, what they really need from a solve perspective, and can connect with them more than just, hey, here's a quote for a stamped or injection molded part. We want to actually be an extension of their team and what they need. But you can reach out to us directly on both of those, and you'll be able to get a hold of an actual person and talk to somebody, which is nice in today's world. So
it is. And that is true of your whole team, all the people that I've met over the years and have worked with you. And I know it's true of you. It really is about the people and the high touch. And so, don't be getting on a website and go, oh, this doesn't give me enough information. Well, then dial the phone number or send them an email and they'll call you, because you want to work with real people that are there solving real problems. I mean, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And that's not the case. You're getting a team with over 10 years experience solving your problem for you. It doesn't make any sense to hire your own team. Let's just go hire this engineering team. You're not going to get that. You're just not. It really takes a special opportunity to be able to find a partner like you guys offer with the projects you can do.
Well, you live that every day with your clients asking. I mean, it's always a unicorn, right? We need the best engineer in the world for the right price that can do everything as fast as possible and has the experience. And it's really difficult to find, while there's some great engineers out there, they might not have the experience on that particular weapons platform, that particular portion of that firearm. It's really difficult. And so we're seeing a huge trend in that, where while the major manufacturers prefer to have their in-house engineering team do everything, there's just not enough bandwidth or enough time in the day. And you know that from trying to fill those positions.
Yeah.
So there are companies out there that can solve these problems for you as a good, outsourced partner to take care of it. And the other unique thing is too, because we do the manufacturing, we look at it immediately from how are we going to make this perspective, not just how are we going to design it to work in CAD and to work on the prototype. We want to look at it, what's the most cost-effective way to make it, and we might have to alter or tweak the design to do that so that it's repeatable, so that it's, the quality of the part is there every single time, and then it's on cost as well.
Yeah. It doesn't, it does make sense to have your own engineering team at some point, but even your own engineering team shouldn't be expected to solve every single problem. Like you said, these mags, I mean, I learned it from you. Who would have ever dreamed they were that complicated? I certainly didn't know that until I learned so much from you. And so you should go where you can get the help the first time the right way and a good partner you can count on. Well, I really appreciate this, Nathan. I'm thrilled. And I mean, really, honestly, I could sit and talk to you for days, and I would rather this go on a longer podcast, but I've promised myself that my attention span isn't that long, so I don't want to punish anyone else, but you're really singly one of the most interesting people. And I always am happy to see you when we're at a trade show and see your smile, and you are never bored. And I think this is why you originally fell in love with manufacturing, because you're so intelligent that you would be bored very quickly, I think, otherwise.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, it's there's always something to learn, and we can always continue to look at things in new lights and look through a new prism and figure out a new angle and solve those problems, right? I mean, if everything, it would be beautiful to have a day that everything is absolutely perfect. But how many days like that are you going to have in a row until you're saying, maybe
you would be bored. You would be bored. You would quit and find something else. I don't even see it in your future. It's good you're doing what you're doing. Well, I really want to thank you so much, Nathan. And I would encourage everyone to take a look at DFM Arms and also ZeroTech Optics, because these are really great products and really great services that you or anyone you might know could use. And I hope you enjoyed this podcast, because Nathan is a very special friend, and I hope you enjoyed learning about manufacturing. God bless America. I'm so proud of you that you have a manufacturing facility. So keep up the good work.
Well, thank you very much for having me today. And as a fellow firearms industry and worker, I'd like to say thanks for doing this podcast. Like, this is exciting that you're actually exposing people to the industry, and I think you're on the forefront of this. And so please continue all of this and really spread the word. And one rising tide lifts all boats, right? So thank you.
Right.
Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. And yes, that is the point of the podcast, is these are real careers. And I think you did a great job of pointing that out. And if you are in Middle Tennessee or around that area and need a manufacturing job, you really ought to check out DFM Arms, because I would go to work for Nathan in a second if I lived around that area.
Well, thank you for that.
All right. That'll be a wrap for this episode of the HeadHunters Northwest podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the HeadHunters Northwest Podcast. Specialized recruiting, specialized approach. You can reach out at HeadHuntersNW.com or call 605-600-1709. Join us again next week as we look behind the curtain into the global defense, small arms, and shooting sectors. HeadHunters Northwest, finding you the best heads for business.